On November 21st, 2022, an 11-year-old girl was seen getting off the school bus outside her home. Then, she suddenly stopped coming to school, prompting the school to reach out to the parents on several occasions. Her parents finally reported her missing 3 weeks later, providing inconsistent days and times that their daughter was last seen. Her mother, who currently resides outside of the country, remains the police's prime suspect, and her stepfather believes his stepdaughter will never be found. Welcome to Without a Trace. I'm your host, Jalen. Every file holds a mystery. Every story deserves to be heard. This is Madalina's story. Madalina Cojocari was born on April 11, 2011 in Moldova. She and her mother, Diana, moved to the United States in 2016 after Diana married Christopher Paltamir. Diana and Christopher had an interesting dynamic, and family members close to Christopher reported that Diane was controlling. It appears this was the dynamic of their parenting techniques as well. Christopher is described as being pretty much like a babysitter for Madalina, doing things like taking her to the park on a regular basis, whereas Diana is the parent who tells Madalina what to do and when to do it. She made sure Madalina did her homework, took baths, and got ready for school each day. Madalina is described as a beautiful, smart, kind, and loving girl who was destined for greatness. Madalina loves horses and enjoyed bringing her plastic horses to the beach. Even more than that, she loved riding the real pony named Rain. Madalina attended 6th grade at Bailey Middle School. Madalina was last seen on surveillance video getting off her school bus outside her home in Cornelius, North Carolina on November 21, 2022 at 4:59 p.m. What happened to her after she got off the bus is unknown, as she has never been seen since. The girl's absence from the school prompted officials to reach out to her parents on multiple occasions. On Monday, December 12, 2022, Bailey Middle School Resource Officer Nobles attempted a home visit with the school counselor, Miss Lampkin, as Madalina hadn't been to school since November 21st. There was no answer at the door, and a truancy packet was left by the counselor. On Wednesday, December 14th, Miss Lampkin spoke with Diana over the phone and requested a meeting to discuss Madalina's attendance. Diana agreed to meet and stated she would bring Madalina to the school the next day for their meeting. On Thursday, December 15th, Diana arrived at the school without Madalina. The school counselor requested that the school resource officer step into the meeting. When the officer arrived, Diana told him that Madalina had been missing since Tuesday, November 23rd. Diana explained to the officer that she last saw Madalina on November 23rd at 10 p.m. when Madalina went into her room to go to bed. Then, Diana and her husband, Christopher, argued that night. The next morning, Christopher drove to his family's house in Michigan to grab some items. Diana stated she went to check on Madalina around 11:30 a.m. on the 24th, but noticed that she was not in her room. Diana waited until Christopher returned home on Saturday, November 26th around 7 p.m. to ask if he knew where Madalina was. Christopher allegedly told Diana that he did not know where Madalina was and asked Diana the same question in return. The officer asked Diana why she did not report her daughter missing until now, and she stated she was worried it might start a conflict between her and Christopher. Christopher was then asked to come to the school to talk with police, and 2 detectives were called for assistance. Christopher told authorities that he left the residence on November 23rd to make a trip to Michigan to pick up some items. He did not see Madalina on the day he left and believed the last time he saw her was a week before his trip. He stated he returned to his residence on November 26th and asked his wife, Diana, where Madalina was. Diana said she did not know, and Christopher responded that he did not know where she was either. Christopher stated that he asked Diana if she had hidden Madalina, and Diana asked Christopher if he had hidden her, to which they both answered no. Christopher stated he spoke with Diana several times about Madalina's whereabouts over the next 3 weeks, but never contacted the police about his missing stepdaughter. As Diana and Christopher spoke with authorities, they provided conflicting stories. Diana initially stated she last saw Madalina at noon on November 22nd, but later stated she last saw her on November 23rd at 10 p.m. Christopher said he left for Michigan on November 23rd, but Diana stated he left early on November 24th. The conflicting timeline and the delay in reporting it made it difficult for police. An investigation into Madalina's disappearance was underway, and authorities began by searching the family's residence. They found an area of the kitchen blocked off with plywood. When asked about it, Christopher told the officers that he was going to make a separate apartment. Authorities also found evidence of a fire pit in the backyard. Christopher told a detective that Madalina's mattress, clothing, Halloween costume, and family photos had been burned in the pit in the week since she went missing. The carpet from the home's upstairs spare bedroom was also burned. Christopher explained that Diana was burning things more often during that time, including things like the stainless steel mugs and closet racks. Christopher reported seeing quite a few items in the fire pit at night, and the next morning, the fire pit would be cleaned of the items and the ashes. On December 16, 2022, one day after Madalina was reported missing, Christopher sent a Facebook message to a relative, Paul McCreary, stating, "We are in some kind of investigation. Maddie is missing, and the local police have taken all of our electronics. Luckily, I have an old phone. Although they did not take my personal computer, prob because they overlooked it. Diana is using it to make a call to her parents." The next day, on December 17th, Diana and Christopher were arrested and charged with failing to report Madalina's disappearance. In the days following their arrests, Diana began to raise suspicion against her husband, claiming that she believed he put her family in danger. At that time, she and Christopher both continued to say they did not know where Madalina was, leading Cornelius police to describe Madalina's disappearance as a serious case, and claiming Diana and Christopher were clearly not telling the police everything they knew. With Diana and Christopher behind bars, authorities continued the search for Madalina. On December 19th, the Cornelius Police Department, FBI, and State Bureau of Investigation announced they were developing and following many leads through an intense investigation to find her. The search had expanded outside of the family's residence to include a search of Lake Cornelius. On December 21st, police returned to the family's home and appeared to be taking photographs. A few days later, on December 30th, they returned with a search warrant, taking several undisclosed items. The detectives were looking for documentation of Madalina's residence, clothing, weapons, financial documents, hair, bodily fluids, and other DNA evidence. In March of 2023, newly unsealed warrants presented possible theories and new leads of Madalina's whereabouts. The warrants revealed that Diana had a phone conversation with a family member on December 2, 2022, where she reportedly asked if he could smuggle her and Madalina away from their home, explaining that she was in a bad relationship with her husband and wanted a divorce. This relative has been connected with ongoing drug and narcotic trafficking investigations. Using this information, investigators secured a search warrant for Diana's Toyota Prius as well as the Cojocari home. While performing the search of the Prius, a narcotics canine alerted to the driver's side door. Authorities seized a debit card to a bank in Moldova which belonged to Diana, as well as Romanian and Moldovan passports issued to Madalina. They also seized a Romanian passport belonging to Diana. Work and miscellaneous documents were seized as well. Investigators did not seize any information from the home. Then, during a search warrant on March 17, 2023, Diana was found with white powder in her shirt pocket. The substance tested positive for cocaine and fentanyl. She was charged with felony possession of a controlled substance while in jail. Diana claimed she found the bag by the showers. On July 6th, the drug charge was dismissed due to insufficient evidence. Later in the year, in July of 2023, more warrants were unsealed, suggesting possible trafficking. Detective Gina Patterson of the Cornelius Police Department sought access to all of Diana's known bank accounts. The first financial decision that drew suspicion occurred days after Madalina went missing, when Diana made the first of 2 payments to a priest in Moldova that totaled $4,000 in the end. She also said in a phone call with her mother from prison that she had hidden a large bag of cash. Diana also alleged that Christopher gave Madalina away for money. However, documents revealed a recorded phone call from Christopher to his brother and sister-in-law where he said Diana had a lot of cash with her. During the same phone call, Christopher told his brother financial stuff was coming up, but told him not to worry about it. These documents also suggested Diana had in fact seen her daughter after the November 23rd date she reported. The warrant said in a text message sent on December 2nd, 2022, Diana indicated she was with her daughter. However, Diana was seen getting an oil change at a shop in Hickory, but the attendant servicing her vehicle did not report seeing the girl. Diana reportedly told detectives that her daughter didn't have any friends or family she could be with. However, on July 11, 2023, surveillance photos surfaced of a child and man who were described as being physically consistent with Madalina and her only known blood relative in the United States, Octavian Sabanu. Octavian is Diana's cousin and Madalina's second cousin. Police followed up on the sighting, but it was not confirmed to be Madalina. On August 17th, Diana appeared in court and pled not guilty for failing to report her daughter missing. The next day, Christopher made the same plea. His bond was set at $25,000, an amount significantly lower than the initial bond of $200,000. He posted bond and was released from prison with the condition that he was electronically monitored. The following year, in May of 2024, Diana changed her plea to guilty. Having already served 510 days behind bars, Diana was released from prison as she had already served more time than the maximum sentence for the charge. When she was released from prison in May of 2024, Diana was asked by reporters if she knew where her daughter was. Diana said, "I hope so," then followed up with, "I hope she's safe." Christopher's trial got underway. Christopher claimed Diana had manipulated him into the false belief that his stepdaughter was safe. But an FBI analyst testifying for the prosecution presented phone and email records suggesting that Christopher knew his stepdaughter was missing and still did not report it to authorities. It took just 14 minutes for the jury to conclude that Madalina's stepfather was guilty of failing to report his stepdaughter missing. Christopher was sentenced to 30 months of supervised probation. In September of 2024, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement confirmed that Diana left the United States and was believed to be in Moldova. It is not known exactly when she left the country. The U.S. does not have an extradition treaty with Moldova, making it difficult to bring more charges against Diana in the future. On June 10, 2024, Christopher filed for divorce. The divorce documents confirmed that Diana was residing in Moldova. On March 3, 2025, Diana and Christopher's divorce was finalized. Diana remains the police department's leading suspect, and they continue monitoring her movements. Madalina's body has never been found, and her stepdad said it would likely stay that way, stating, quote, "I think Diana took her somewhere with her Moldovan family. I believe Diana has her tucked away somewhere where she's never going to be found." Anyone with information is asked to contact the Cornelius Police Department at 704-892-7773. Thank you for listening to Without a Trace with your host, Jillian. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into Madalina's disappearance. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe and follow Without a Trace on social media. Join me next week as I dive into another case.